What's up, bitches? This is Silent Rob. I have a video game review in the works, but I went ahead and did this video real quick to answer some questions that I've been getting in my email. These are probably the most frequently asked questions that I get, so I put them together in a list, and I'm going to go ahead and answer them for you. First question that I get all the time, Silent Rob, what is your favorite game of all time? I've actually answered this before. My favorite game of all time, bar none, is Chrono Trigger. No RPG, or even game for that matter, has ever come close to Chrono Trigger for me. The first time I played that game, it was just a magical experience. No game has ever had a story that's, touched me as much as Chrono Trigger has. There's never been a cast of characters in an RPG that I've ever gotten more close to. The game is the perfect length to replay over and over again. It's not too short, it's not too long. It's got everything from linear, awesome storytelling elements, to open-ended gameplay that affects different things around you, affects timelines. You span millions of years in this colossal epic adventure. A lot of people wanted to know what my opinion on Chrono Cross was. Chrono Cross is good too. I've never actually beat Chrono Cross. I've gotten pretty far. I've never really gotten into the battle system that much. I just could never get into it, and I don't understand making a sequel to one of the best games of all time and hardly having anything to do with the game you're basing it on. I mean, I know there's some recurring characters and some story elements, but I don't know. The only thing I really like from Chrono Cross as much as the other games is the music. Yasunori Masuda is one of the most talented composers out there. This motherfucker rocks music, okay? This motherfucker was using, Irish theme things and flutes and all this other shit before anybody was. Chrono Trigger, a lot of people forget that Chrono Trigger was his first fucking soundtrack. Okay? I mean, Chrono Trigger has the best soundtrack ever. Okay? Ever. And it was his first fucking soundtrack. It was the first one he ever did. Chrono Trigger is just an amazing game. Next question is, what is your least favorite game of all time? And I'm going to have to go with Action 52 on this one. I mean, it's probably pretty obvious, but there's never been a game make me as miserable as that game. It's obvious when you play the game, when you watch my older videos when I review Action 52, that the people that made the game did not care whatsoever. They just wanted to make money. They knew they had to get 52 games in there, and they were going to do whatever it took, which I don't care if it was to kill their own mother, they would have done it, to actually make those 52 games and put them on one cartridge. That was the goal, and that's, in the most part, what they achieved. Even though half of them don't even work, and the other remaining ones aren't even fun to play. So, I'll give them credit that they accomplished putting 52 things on another thing to try to sell it for money, but I can't really imagine that they made any money off of it. And considering that Active Enterprises or whoever made the game isn't around today, it really doesn't surprise me. Okay, so what is your favorite system of all time? I'm gonna have to go with the Super Nintendo on this one, by far. It was really the first system that I got. I got it for my birthday. I think I was like 8 years old or something, but it was the greatest thing ever. It was my system. It was my game system. It was the first thing that I really owned, that I really cherished. And plus, give it up to the Super Nintendo for having probably the best game selection out of any system, people. I mean, PS1 is pretty close on this one, but PS1 just doesn't have the classics. PS1 just doesn't have a Chrono Trigger caliber game on it, in my opinion. A lot of people would say Final Fantasy VII. Boo. I already covered Final Fantasy VII. It's not close to Chrono Trigger in my eyes. It just doesn't have the game selection, okay? It doesn't have anything. When I first got my Super Nintendo, I had my Super Nintendo. I remember I had Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which, what a first game to get with a system, you know what I mean? One of the hardest hits games ever made. You get, and I played the shit out of that game, and I beat that damn game when I was like 8 years old. I got that game, and I got Super Mario All-Stars. Talk about a game collection, Super Mario All-Stars. You're not going to get something like that nowadays. It's just not going to happen. As a matter of fact, they try selling the games individually now for about the same price that I paid for the whole collection when it first came out on the Super Nintendo. Times have changed, and not necessarily for the better. Let's see. What is your least favorite system? This might surprise a lot of people, and I'm not really going by systems like the 3DO or the CDI or anything like that, because I never owned those systems. So what is my least favorite system that I've actually owned? It would honestly have to be, and this might surprise you people, the N64. I just didn't really like that system very much. And I had an N64 since the very beginning, since day one when it first launched. It didn't impress me. The games were too expensive on it. A lot of people bitch and complain about paying $60 for a game, and I've even bitched and complained about it, and I've even made videos about it. But when I think back on it, really, the N64 had fucking expensive ass games. 60, $70. I remember Donkey Kong 64 costing like $70 or some shit. You know what I mean? Because it came with like the expansion pack or something, some stupid shit that you didn't even need, and didn't even make the game look any better at all. It's fucking bullshit. And the amount of high caliber games on the N64 was just lacking. It was just lacking. Other than Zelda, Mario, all the classics like that, there wasn't really a lot on it. GoldenEye, there was a few classics, and Rare kind of, pretty much made that system before they got bought by Xbox, but there just wasn't enough on it. There wasn't even a Metroid game. There was one Mario game, other than the Mario Parties, which I didn't fucking play, and two Zelda games, one of which I didn't even like. I'd never even really liked Majora's Mask, and I never even really finished it. Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games of all time, though. So I'm kind of torn on it, but I have to go with the N64. No other system I've ever owned ever got the least amount of playtime as the N64. I was always playing the PS1. Okay, there's people that played the N64, probably loved it. I just didn't. I played PS1. I was playing Resident Evil, Nightmare Creatures, Tomb Raider, all the games that I owned back in the day. I don't know. I didn't get into that game, that whole system. What is your opinions on 3D Realms closing? To be honest, I really don't give a fuck. They haven't been impressing me as of late, so they pretty much got what was coming to them. You can't make a game and then postpone it for 20 years and expect to still have your business. You know what I mean? Expect to still be selling games. Expect to still be having hype for this game. People gave up on Duke Nukem Forever coming out like 10 years ago. Okay, and they're still showing screenshots of it, acting like, oh, we got something in store for you guys. We've been sneaking around. This game's gonna be all. I knew that it was all bullshit. Okay, even if this game does come out and it comes out by some other developer, do you people really think it's gonna be worth 20 fucking years of waiting? Fuck no. Okay, give me a break with this shit. Okay, Duke Nukem 3D wasn't even worth 20 years. I wouldn't wait 20 years to play that game, even if there was nothing else like it. The Duke Nukem is a pretty standard first-person shooter if you think about it. Yeah, the character itself is a pretty sweet character, but we got so many first-person shooters out now that Duke Nukem is going to have a hard time standing out. The closest thing you're probably going to get nowadays is like something like Prey, which 3D Realms helped on. Play that. I don't know really what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, 3D Realms is done. They dicked around too much. You gotta put out games in order to be a game company, in order to make profit. I don't really have to explain this shit to you people, because you people already know this, but obviously 3D Realms did not. A system that you always wanted but never got. I've always wanted a TurboGrafx, to be honest with you. It always interested me having a game on a card. It always seemed like there was a lot of games on the TurboGrafx that I always wanted to play too. That's kind of an underrated gem. If you people, if anybody could maybe send me an old TurboGrafx, I'd be appreciated. I'd definitely review it on here, but I just never received one, and I've never really gotten a chance to buy one, especially when I was a kid. So, opinions on the PSP Go, the new PSP. I think it's a waste of fucking time. And, I don't understand making a system that's going backwards. You know what I mean? It's not progressing, it's going backwards. That's fine. Have the system be able to download the games. but at least have a fucking UMD drive on the thing. Okay, what are we supposed to do when we have had the PSP since the beginning, and we have all these UMD games? I mean, you can't tell me this question never came up when they were making this system. It's bullshit. Okay, put a fucking UMD drive on the thing. Sony created the medium. Okay, created the UMD. It's owned by them. They push these UMD discs. They push these UMD movies. Then they fucking get rid of the UMD movies, and now they're gonna get rid of the UMD fucking games and be like, oh, you just download the games now. Fuck you, okay? You know what I mean? Not everybody has a good fucking internet connection to even download this shit. Okay, you're telling me we're gonna have to go to hotspots and all this other shit for these people that live out in the boonies that can't even get internet? A lot of people forget that shit. You know, a lot of people get so hung up that they got Roadrunner, that they got high-speed connections and all that shit, that they forget that there's some people out there that don't have that shit. That they're still playing old school. Okay, no updates other than the shit that they get from game discs automatically. They're not downloading fucking games. They're buying games and they're playing them old school. Okay, they're not fucking doing this internet shit. Everything revolves around the internet nowadays, and it's stupid. Okay, why take out the fucking UMD drive? Fuck the PSP. I had a PSP at one time and sold it because it fucking sucks. Okay, so I don't like the PSP. Fuck that system. Next question is, worst franchise ever. In my opinion, the worst fucking game franchise ever by far is the Army Men games. This was a series that haunted me when I was a kid. I used to go to the video store all the time. I used to rent games because I never could afford to really buy games very often when I was a kid. I had them. Christmas time was the time to get games. And I got a ton during Christmas time, my birthday and stuff like that. But for the rest of the year, for the most part, I didn't really get a lot of games. So I rented games pretty much every week. And I'd always go to the video store and I'd always see these fucking Army Men games. It seems like there was a new Army Men game every single week. Okay? And a lot of times everything would be checked out and I would end up having to fucking rent an Army Men game. And there has never fucking been a good Army Men game. Not one. Okay? You're going to have a series with over 30 games and not have one good game. That pretty much qualifies as worst fucking franchise to me. I mean, the franchise in the first place never even makes any sense, okay? You got these plastic people, but most of the games take place in a real world. So it's not funny, it's not interesting, it just doesn't make any sense. Why not just put real soldiers in the games, put more time on the games, and then you'd have a completely different game? I don't understand the Army Men franchise. The only ones that ever made any sense to me were the Sarge's Heroes games and stuff like that, where they took them and put them in real-world environments. But even then, the game sucked nutsack. So it doesn't even matter, okay? None of them were good, and it's a good thing that the fucking series is dead. I mean, you can't just put out shit and expect to survive. Let's see. Series with too many sequels. This might surprise you people too, but honestly, Call of Duty is starting to get run to the ground. There cannot be a new Call of Duty game every year. Okay, this isn't Madden. Okay, this isn't a fucking sports franchise that we can put out every year, update some stats, and release it. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys right now that Call of Duty is going to get run into the ground if it hasn't already been run into the ground for you. I love the game. Don't get me wrong. Modern Warfare 2 is good times. Despite the fucking cheaters, the constant cheaters that play the game online, despite the short campaign, and despite the similarity to Call of Duty 4, and despite lacking modes that World of War had, like zombie mode, even though I know Treyarch made World of War, there's no reason Modern Warfare 2 could not have a zombie type mode in it. Okay? World of War had perks. World of War took a lot of shit from the other ones. And these two teams, believe it or not, do work together. Okay? They help each other out. It's starting not to impress me anymore. And I know there's going to be a new Call of Duty released this year by Treyarch, and I don't give a fuck. Okay? I'm not going to play it. I need a year off from Call of Duty. Until they fix the online issues with Modern Warfare 2, I don't give a fuck. Okay? Before they got to get rid of these boosters and these people cheating with the fucking you know, appearing right in front of their buddies and killing each other so they can boost their stats. They gotta fix that shit. Okay, there's a new glitch like every single week in Modern Warfare 2 that they need to fix. And it's just bullshit. Okay, the javelin glitch, the boosting glitch, you know, all these other online problems. I can't take this shit anymore. I just want to play the game. But fuck the new Call of Duty coming out this year. They haven't announced it yet, but you people know it's fucking coming. Okay, give me a break. Okay, just like Madden comes out every year, you expect a new fucking Call of Duty. What's a series that doesn't have enough sequels that you'd like to see more of? Honestly, I'd like to see a new Star Tropics. Whether or not it be on the Wii, WiiWare, handheld, I don't give a fuck. Release a new Star Tropics. You know, not like, you know, there was a Star Tropics 2, but I didn't really like Star Tropics 2. It kind of went off the beaten path and what it was the first game really was. Make a new Star Tropics that's like the first one. And it'll be successful. I'm telling you. You know, make it. You know, you can make it 3D. You can make it overhead view. I don't know. I love the first Star Tropics. I love the story. I love the music. I love the setting. I love the tropical setting of it. It was just a really good game. And a lot of people didn't even really experience Star Tropics when it first came out. Star Tropics was actually created for American audiences, believe it or not. So Japan didn't even really play the game too much. But yeah, I mean, make a new Star Tropics. It'll be fucking badass. But those are the questions that I was getting. There is a new game review coming up. I'm just taking my time on it, so it'll come out soon. Alright, you guys have a good one.